Hey everybody, I guess we're gonna start case 5. Wild. My mind is blown. I am not okay. Um, I am I don't know anymore, y'all. This is some wild shit. I can't. This game is fantastic, and yeah, I guess let's just jump into it, I guess. What the hell? If for some reason you're tuning in and you haven't caught up, please do. A lot was revealed. None of it is none of it is really safe. So this is your warning before we start case 5 that, look away if you're not ready. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Yeah, let's play. Final chapter. The resolve of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. No cinematic or nothing. We're just straight into it. 3rd November, 9:14 a.m. The Old Bailey, defendant's antechamber. So, the time's finally come. Today, we unravel everything. Oh, did I skip something? I'll be counting on your support more than ever today, Musuzato. Misuzato? Ah! There it is. One more for the road. Oh no! Well, what's the matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Nothing? I was just saying that I'll be relying on your support today, but... I'm so sorry, of course. I know I can be rather incompetent at times, but... I shan't let you down. Oh dear. Right. Would you mind helping me to my feet then? Oh yeah, I'm really very sorry. See, when the scroll wheel is also mapped to advanced dialogue, so that's why I keep doing it by accident. Suzato-san isn't her usual self at all. That's hardly surprising, I suppose. She just found out that her father is a partner of a world-famous detective, not to mention... Ah, good morning, sir. Lord Van Zieks. Thank you for all your efforts yesterday. What, did I hear that correctly? What? Oh, no, nothing. Just, I hope we can clear things up today. I really can't make this man out. His face says I hate you, but his words are almost jovial today. In fact, he hasn't been very Reaper-like at all since this all began yesterday. Lord Van Zieks isn't the Reaper, Mr. Naruhodo. Good point. The Reaper, I suppose in hindsight. I shouldn't have allowed that misconception to go unchallenged. It was my tacit acceptance of that pseudonym. My failure to stop the Reaper from becoming something more than a mere legend that led to all this. But you're not to blame for that, Lord Van Zieks. It's only because serious crime in the capital dropped off so sharply when the public started calling you that. That's why you didn't say anything, isn't it? To be frank, I'm not sure that was the sole reason. What do you mean? There was a rumor at the time that the Reaper was really the ghost of my late brother. That having been slain by that evil killer, Flint's restless spirit returned to some sort of demigod, who wielded a deadly blade of justice where I, by dint of the law, could not. Yes, we've heard that story too. When I lost him, I felt as though I'd lost my guiding light. I didn't know where to go or what to do. And so, in some small way, I wonder if perhaps those rumors had made me feel his absence a little less keenly. Even if I knew it was just an illusion, just some nonsense conjured up by an over-imaginative public. He was obviously very important to you, Lord Clint Van Zieks. Well, what's important now is uncovering the truth. That's all that matters. I know you didn't take anyone's life. And I intend to prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt in court today. I never thought I'd say this, but I can see it in your eyes. That burning desire to cut through all the lies and deception. I can't deny it any longer. You are a lawyer of absolute integrity. Thank you. Now tell me, Why do I detect the scent of expensive tea leaves in the air? Oh, Iris, when did you get here? Oh. I brought you one of my special blends. Harley loves it. He says it helps him to clear his head. I thank you. Oh. Yeah, I know. That's surely the first and last time I'll ever see a sight like this. You seem different today, Iris. Oh, Oh? Sort of subdued, I suppose? I am not. What happened yesterday is obviously still playing on her mind a lot. She's very clearly troubled about having stolen that autopsy report from Dr. Seit's laboratory. Alright then, good luck to you both. I have to make a move now. Oh, you're not staying? I thought you'd want to watch today's proceedings. Well, I'd like to cheer you on, obviously. I've got lots to get ready. Get ready? For what? Oh yes. Would you take this? Isn't that one of the little felt dolls that's usually dangling from your knapsack? Yes, it's a lucky charm. A little Hurley that I made. Hurley? Looks like a Hairley to me. Aww. If for some reason you completely run out of options in the trial today, then just pull this little Hurley's ears as hard as you possibly can. What, pull his ears? That's right, it's a way to bring good luck. I think you might need it. You think what we'll need is luck? I just sneaked a peek inside the courtroom, and it seemed very different to normal. Yes, it would seem that a certain someone has decided to pull out all the stops. What does that mean? What about Mr. Sholmes, Iris? I don't know. He was out all night and he hadn't come home by the time I left this morning. Oh, I see. Was Professor Mikotoba out all night too, do you think, Miss Suzuka? Yes, it would seem so. I telegrammed the hotel this morning, and apparently they didn't come back to their rooms last night at all. They? Father and Shashikoku, I mean. Shashikoku too? That's right, nobody appears to have seen either of them since yesterday. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court is about to be in session. Please make your way inside the courtroom at once. Good luck then, Bruno. Good luck, Susie. Yes. Thanks, Iris. And you, Mr. Reaper. I hope it goes well. Once again, I thank you for the delicious tea. It was very soothing. Oh, I'm so glad. We must go inside now. We must go inside now, Lord Van Zieks. So Van Zieks is the case 5 defendant. And Gregson really is probably the last victim in the entire case. Or in the entire game. Lord Van Zieks has always been the formidable prosecutor who had to lock horns with in court. But not today. Today I battle with another in pursuit of the truth. My best friend, Kazuma Asogi, who I trust more than anyone else in the world. Now I understand what it was that drew me here to Britain all those months ago. Now I know exactly what destiny had in store for me. It's all been leading up to this one day, this one trial, to this one final reckoning. Where's the judge? Feels even more oppressive in here than it did yesterday. The cold stares piercing me like knives from all sides today. Ah, but Mr. Naruhodo, look! Oh my god. What? No. What are you doing here? You did it. You did it. I'm still, you did something. You did something, and you can't be presiding. You did something, and you shouldn't be here. But Lord Strongheart, Kazuma must have known beforehand. The ramifications of this trial now extend far beyond the murder of one Scotland Yard inspector. In fact, events have come to light that threaten to rock the very foundations of our country's legal system. The escape of a condemned criminal on the night of his execution, the subsequent unlawful shooting of the man, and the revelation that prison staff must have been complicit in the jailbreak. Britain is currently hosting influential members of the judiciary from countries all around the world. It is imperative that we uncover the truth in these proceedings to avoid international embarrassment. By royal decree, this will continue to be a closed trial. and one over which I, Male Strongheart, exercise total and unequivocal authority. This is badass as fuck. The 6 jurors' flames just... As was the case in yesterday's proceedings, those here present in the public gallery are distinguished members of the judiciary, assembled to bear witness to a fair judicial process. In other words, a collection of your acolytes, Lord Strongheart. On a personal note, I find this most distressing, Lord Van Zieks. You were a prosecutor of exceptional talent, much like your brother Clint, in fact. Ooh. In her name of the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session for the trial of Baroque Van Zieks, who officially stands accused of murder. Oh, this is final boss energy right here. This is final boss energy. You did it. You did it. Mm-hmm. Counsels for the prosecution and defense, are you in full readiness to proceed? The defense is ready, my lord. As is the prosecution. Yesterday's proceedings brought to light a shocking and disturbing fact. There was a side to the victim, Inspector Tobias Gregson, that was unknown to his superiors at Scotland Yard. Yes, he was carrying out operations in secret, which Scotland Yard knew nothing about. And in those clandestine operations, he had an accomplice. Mr. Daily Vigil, who would be given the inspector's identification and present himself around the capital in order to establish credible alibis for Gregson. In that way, Gregson appeared to be carrying out his regular Scotland Yard work, when in fact he wasn't. At the end of yesterday's session, Mr. Vigil, who had been suffering from amnesia, regained his memory. It would appear he buried his memories of the time deep inside himself as a means of self-preservation, because whilst he was engaged as chief warder at Barclay Prison, he abetted the convict's escape. Mr. Vigil is currently recuperating at St. Sinners. He's recovered enough to give a signed statement about his movements on the day prior to the incident. He's formally admitted to posing as Gregson whilst investigating the Red-Headed League. Which brings us to the crucial issue of the victim's time of death. The defense yesterday proposed a suggestion that the victim may have been killed 1 day earlier. This was based largely on the discovery that the victim's pocket watch had not been wound. The prosecution has something to report on that subject, my lord. Really? Go ahead, Prosecutor Asogi. I met once again with the coroner yesterday to discuss the issue. He confirmed that the defense's suggestion could not be ruled out. It's entirely possible that Inspector Gregson was killed on 31st October, the day before his body was discovered. I have here an updated autopsy report that includes the amended details. But the official opinion of the investigation team was made clear yesterday. I'm getting chills, you guys. I cannot. That time of death was 5 p.m. on 1st November. There are indications of an attempt to disguise the real time of death, however. It seems that the natural decaying process of the victim's body may have been slowed by keeping it chilled. That's out of the question. There are no refrigeration devices in that part of London large enough to accommodate a human corpse. Yeah, but we updated the autopsy report too, so at least it's not a surprise this time. My lord, this is more than just conjecture. There's evidence to support the idea. We must investigate it thoroughly. Very well. The court will accept the new report as evidence. However, if this updated report is deemed to be accurate, it would give renewed significance to the movements of the victim on the day before the Fresno Street incident. It would, yes, especially since on that day, Inspector Gregson was using Mr. Vigil to cover up his real movements. It's conceivable that he was killed in the course of his secret activities. Do I sense that the prosecution has some information regarding those activities? Scotland Yard put out an enormous effort into investigating the precise matter yesterday. I think we should begin by presenting the results of that investigation work. So the prosecution calls its first witness now. Gina Lestrade. State your name and occupation for the court. Inspector Gina Lestrade reporting representative of Scotland Yard. Self-conferred rank, but never mind. Gina, again? What's your problem at all? What's with that Gina again? Look, hey. The boss meant the world to me. He'd done more than me than anyone else ever did. Oh, Inspector Gregson, you mean? He got me out of the back slums of the East End and put me under his wing. Taught me that life can have a purpose. So that's why I'm the best person to be standing here speaking for him. Oh, Gina. Right. All out of the goodness of Gregson's heart. Not at all that he had his arm twisted by Mr. Sholmes, no. Oh. What's relevant to these proceedings is the outcome of Scotland Yard's investigation yesterday. Has revealed that the victim was carrying out some assignment the police knew nothing about. Very troubling. That face. Lord Strongheart knew. So, Inspector Lestrade. Let's hear exactly what it says in that report. Coming right up, sir. All yard detectives are supposed to follow orders and investigate what they're told. But a little search of the boss's office turned up a notebook that had a load of secret meetings in it. According to that, the boss was looking into some smuggled goods dealings that day. Looks like it was a big job and all, but the culprits weren't onto it yet. What matters most is, there's witnesses what saw the Reaper at the place too. Smuggled goods? I don't know, do I? I'm just telling you what was written in the book. Tobacco, tea, spices, medicines. Goods of all sorts flow into London by illegal channels from across the globe. It's well known that they're disposed of at irregular black markets that take place in the capital. But the police are rarely able to locate them in time. So Inspector Gregson was investigating one of those black markets. It's been suggested that high-ranking government officials may be involved in black market activity. No doubt Gregson was trying to avoid details of his investigations being leaked to the involved parties. That would explain why he was operating on his own authority without the Yard's knowledge. And do we know where the dealings were taking place this time? In a particular room of a certain exclusive London gentlemen's club. And on the day in question, the accused is known to have been there. That's the conclusion of Scotland Yard's investigation into the matter. That can't be. We haven't heard anything about all this. Members of the club have testified to it. There's no question. The accused, Barack Van Zieks, was present. That would be very significant testimony then. Oh my, but... Lord Van Zieks has made no mention of this at all. In short, Lord Van Zieks had ample opportunity to murder the victim. Very well then, counsel for the defense, begin your cross-examination. There's a lot going through my head right now. First of all, I feel strongly that Lord Strongheart shouldn't just be able to stand in for the judge at a moment's notice. But I guess, considering that something similar happened in Ace Attorney, Trials and Tribulations, I can overlook it.
Hold it!
So, you follow orders, do you, Gina? Nah, not me. I'm a bowl at sea. Oh. The boss had always had special orders for me. Grab us some fish and chips and go and give Toby his grub. That kind of thing. So errands more than orders then. This detective is still an apprentice after all. Yeah, well, this apprentice ain't one to sit around and wait to be told what to do, even by the boss. That's why I've been doing my own investigation as to what happened. I didn't find much at first.
Hold it!
So you went through Inspector Gregson's things? Yep, as part of the independent Lestrade investigation. I'm sure your superiors will be delighted that you're taking the initiative. So I snuck into his office when no one else was about. Plus, if anyone at the yard had seen me going in there, they'd have birthed me straight out on the street. This is sounding less and less like an investigation, and more like something else. The prosecution understands that it was this very detective who discovered the notebook. You got that right. Nothing gets past Inspector Lestrade and their trusty assistant, Chief Inspector Toby, who found it hidden in one of his desk drawers that had a full spot in. That's impressive. So then, I went to hide myself where no one could find me and I could have a butcher's what was written in it. If anyone at the yard found out, they'd have me turfed straight out on the street. I've given it in now though, ain't I? If it weren't for me, it wouldn't have never been found.
Hold it!
Do you have any idea where those dealings are taking place? Sorry, I just want to look for record zero. What a charming little rabbity version of Mr. Sholmes. Do you suppose this is how Iris sees him? Are you alright, Mr. Naruto? Your eyes are very to be boring into the poor doll's ears. Oh, sorry, I was just wondering. What do you suppose would happen if I were to tug its ears with all my might right now? I'm sure we'll find out when the time is right. To become a proper gentleman, you really must learn stoic patience. But I want to know! I just wanted to see what was going on there. Stingle stab into the heart. This would feel external ones indicative of a duel. Recent scarlet ink stains visible on the little and ring fingers of the right hand, but no document and corresponding note was found. This was updated to say time indeterminate. Yep. Yep. It was all there in the boss's notes. Let's see if I can remember. As I already said, the illegal dealings were due to take place at a gentleman's club. Yes, I remember, but I was hoping to find out the name of the club. That won't be necessary. What? It's conceivable that the club might be used again by the smugglers in the future. Therefore, the prosecution has been asked not to reveal the name in these proceedings. I don't know what all the fuss is about. It's right here. All I've got to do is read it out. I could too. I've got this reading game buttoned up now. Can't I show you what I can do? Go on, what's the arm? The judge hasn't taken his objection yet. I could try to find out. What should I do? This is a closed court. The proceedings are confidential. There shouldn't be any possibility of information being leaked. As I explained, there is some possibility of politicians in being involved in this affair. The prosecution is rightfully exercising caution, I imagine. No, my lord, the prosecution has no objection. How's it? There's no question that Inspector Gregson was looking into these black market dealings. However, it's not yet been established that he was on that particular trail on the day in question. If the defense requires to know the club's name, the prosecution has no intention of being obstructive. Right then, I get to show off my reading skills. The grouse. This is new, I guess? I never actually examined this, did I? Have you seen this huge gash across the side of the trunk here? It's gone right through the leather and into the metal behind. Gosh, for a metal chest like this to have been so badly damaged. Whatever the gash must have struck the side of the... Whatever made the gash must have struck the side of the trunk with considerable force. There we go. I wonder how it happened. Let's have a look inside. Is this a case file? Look, there's something inside. Ooh, let's see. Appears to be a passport, authorizing him to travel overseas. Was Inspector Gregson about to go on a trip abroad then? Perhaps the date of departure might tell us something. That was... Oh, what is it? It was for travel on 31st October, just one day before the incident. What? Really? Gregson went to France the day before his body was discovered? Oh my. Look at this dark stain here. Do you think... Yes, I'm afraid so. I think it's blood. Ugh, I knew you were going to say that. So that presumably means that this was present at the scene when Inspector Gregson was killed. That's the most logical conclusion, yes. I think Gina's been carrying this around with her. I didn't know any better. I suppose it does look like a grease stain for all the fish and chips. Yeah, because I didn't actually click on it. I'm just looking at the evidence to see what's going on here.
Hold it!
grouse? What sort of a club is that? I ain't got the foggiest. Clubs ain't exactly my thing, but I am kind of curious. They're not places where a foreign student like you would be readily admitted. Have you looked in the mirror recently? Tell you what, me and Chief Inspector Toby could go in undercover. Could you, though? I could pick out a few good marks and see what else I could find out while I was in there. I really don't think you should go picking out anything. Anyway, that's where these black market dealings were going to take place, is it? Yeah, it's gotta be. That's what the lower ranking detectives of the yard reckon. Says the even lower ranking detective.
Hold it!
So how had Inspector Gregson come to find out about it, in that case? That's the question, ain't it? But I'm just an apprentice, so... And why didn't he inform Scotland Yard of his findings? Yeah, that's what I was asking myself, because, you know, I'm just an apprentice. When it suits you, yes. Anyway, the point is, something went on at that club, no question. You can't say that for certain, though, surely. I want to hear about this. Lord Van Zieks was at the club. That is a sentence and a half. I know it's the 1900s, and the club means something different. But the idea of Lord Van Zieks just going clubbing is now ingrained into my mind. No. He was. Detectives who visited the club yesterday to make inquiries have confirmed it. Several members of the report having seen the accused being admitted to the room in question as a guest. Looks like there's no disputing that he was there then. Well, we know that Lord Van Zieks was investigating Inspector Gregson, don't we? Perhaps he'd already discovered the Inspector's secret notebook, which led him to the club. What do you mean? Maybe. Presumably, then, there were also eyewitnesses who can testify that Gregson was there. None have been identified at this time, no. All-important victim wasn't seen at this mysterious club. Oi! Why aren't you asking Inspector Lestrade, right? That's all I've got to work with. Dean's not holding back with that ice-cold stare of hers, is she? I really don't know what to make of all this. Lord Van Zieks told us that he was investigating Inspector Gregson, but he never once mentioned that he met the Inspector the day before the incident. You don't think Lord Van Zieks could have been lying to us, do you? That's not the only way to explain this. Oh, if everything Lord Van Zieks has told us is true, then there must be a mistake in this testimony somewhere. You mean there are details we've yet to uncover? Exactly. Clue, perhaps, that even Gina hasn't noticed. That's what we should be looking for here. It's the passport, I just don't... Well, I don't... actually... I wonder. It's just an evidence thing? What evidence would we need to use here? Just in general, I'm trying to see if I can make sense of any of this. Shit. What does this say? Oh, interesting. Yeah, the SS Grouse. What were the dates again? Sorry. They must have been in France. It would have been in France on Halloween. Because it will only take a day. And they were in France. They talked about it. That must be what it is. Oh my god. That's the grouse.
Objection!
I've read about these clubs that exist here in Britain. As I understand it, they're places where well-to-do gentlemen socialize with friends and colleagues. Don't imagine that a second that a foreign student like you would be admitted. Seriously, is your mirror cracked or something? Do we know for sure that the contraband dealings were definitely happening at a club called The Grouse? The police are currently looking for evidence, but haven't found anything definitive yet. And I'm sorry to say that they probably won't. What do you mean by that? I mean that the place Inspector Gregson was secretly going to visit on 31st October may not have been a gentleman's club at all. You're showing a very irreverent attitude towards the country's police force there, Counsel. If it wasn't a gentleman's club, then what was it? Steamship. You think it's a ship? I have the evidence to prove it here. Let me see that. This dark-suited young man is not in the least bit untrustworthy. On the other side, my lord. Be more specific next time. This would appear to be a ticket for passage upon a steamship, yes. The SS Grouse.
Objection!
So there's a steamship named the Grouse that happens to share a name with the club. But I'm afraid to say, there's a flaw in your logic there. Also, I want to see something, because I didn't actually read the passport that we just got. Port of Dunkirk, France. Yeah, it would take a day to get to France, I think. How? Get the ticket. Notice the date of arrival in port. Gregson must have been on the same ship. Dead. The ship arrived at the port of Dover on 1st November. The day on which the sound like a gunshot was heard on Fresno Street. In other words, on the day in question here, 31st October, when the victim was on his clandestine mission. That ship hadn't yet docked on British shores. That would certainly make an undercover investigation somewhat challenging. The fact that the steamship hadn't yet reached Britain substantiates the defense's assertion that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on the day in question. Then show your evidence for that assertion. Very well. In that case, counsel for the defense, present your evidence to the court now. Evidence that substantiates your claim that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on 31st October.
Take that!
What's this? A passport for travel issued to the victim. Dated 31st October. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that just one day before the inspector's body was discovered, there's this distinct possibility that he wasn't even in the country. Order! Order! This document is a passage to France. It does appear to have been officially authorized. The day before the SS Grouse arrived at Dover, it docked on the northern coast of France for a night. According to my father, who was on board, port of Dunkirk. Dunkirk, France. What could possibly have taken the victim there? I'm impressed, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I certainly didn't expect you to get your hands on that passport. What? You mean you knew about this? The prosecution's strategy for this trial has been laid down by the Crown Prosecution Office. On the day before the incident, the victim was investigating contraband dealings at a London club. That's the outcome of Scotland Yard's investigation, and the line that the prosecution has been asked to follow. But personally, I don't agree. I think the prosecutor's office is trying to hide something. What? And now that you've expertly disproven their assertion, I intend to reveal what I believe that something to be. What are you playing at, Prosecutor Asogi? The courtroom is a forum for the truth, my lord. Which is why it is my duty to present all the facts without exception. Let me guess, this was your intention from the outset, wasn't it? The reason Inspector Gregson secretly made his way to the steamship docked in France on the day in question was to carry out a mission for the Reaper. The Reaper? Order! Order! What on earth are you saying, Counsel? The prosecution made an assertion in court yesterday. Inspector Gregson was investigating the identity of the Reaper. When he discovered the location of the man's secret hideout, he was killed. As I'm sure everyone can imagine, by the Reaper's hand. But in reality, the truth is the opposite of that. What? Inspector Gregson wasn't investigating the Reaper at all. He was, in fact, acting for the Reaper. So, you're saying the mission he was undertaking was, obviously, an assassination. Barack Van Zieks never carried out any of the actual killings. Whenever the Reaper's victims lost their lives, he always had a cast iron alibi. Which tells us that he must have had an accomplice. And you claim that was Inspector Gregson. What the hell do you think you're saying, eh? My boss would never have done nothing like that. And yet, when you consider all the facts, it all makes perfect sense. No, it can't be. We also arrived at the same conclusion, didn't we? That Inspector Gregson was operating as the Reaper. Even so, there's no way that the person giving him his orders was Lord Van Zieks. No, the true Reaper is somebody else. Barack Van Zieks is not the Reaper. Predictable response from someone who's advocating for the man. And even if it's true that Gregson was operating as an agent of the Reaper, the suggestion that he went aboard the SS Grouse on an assassination mission doesn't follow at all. It does not track, Your Honor. Oh, you have some solid reason for doubting the assertion, do you, Counsel? Absolutely, it's very simple. On the day in question, nobody was killed aboard that steamship. Professor Mikotoba and Judge Shikobu were on that very ship. If someone had been assassinated, I'm sure we would have heard about it. What's so funny? You're right, of course. No suspicious deaths were reported on board the ship. But I think perhaps you've missed the point. That's precisely why Inspector Gregson himself lost his life. What? Gregson did board the SS Grouse that night, with the intention of dispatching the Mark. But his mission ended in failure. Failure? I just wanted to see if the SS Grouse was written on that thing, or if I actually did have to check it and remember it. It seems that the defense hasn't yet grasped a very important detail here. What are you talking about? What detail? Inspector Gino Lestrade. Eh? What? The victim's notebook that you read an excerpt from earlier. That doesn't contain details of secret investigations at all. It describes 10 years of assassination plots to be carried out by the Reaper of the Bailey. You're lying. Even if all them blooders what got taken out had it coming. The boss weren't the Reaper. Or Gina. There's no question that Tobias Gregson was heavily involved in the Reaper's activities. You may be just an apprentice, but if you spent any time in Scotland Yard, you must have heard rumors. I ain't heard nothing, and I don't believe a word of it. Then testify again, as representative of Scotland Yard. Consider it your chance to defend your boss. I don't... I concur. The witness will give a new formal testimony. Miss Lestrade, he will tell the court everything you know about Inspector Gregson's secret notebook. Yeah, this notebook does have all the stuff about what the Reaper's been got up to these past 10 years. Names of victims, dates and places and stuff. And the last entry in there were 31st October. It said Grouse for the place on that date, and then the name of the Mark. There was a note about him being a criminal who got away from the Reaper in court 10 years ago or something. But honest, the boss didn't do none of it. He was just investigating the Reaper, that's all. Keep personal opinion out of your testimony, witness. We require only established fact here. This must be so hard for her. You can't deny it, surely. Now, surely. What can't I deny? The notebook contained the name of the final Mark and the location where the assassination would take place. That's information the victim only could have known if he was working with the Reaper. Ah, so who was to be this final Mark? Who was to be this final Mark? Go ahead, Inspector Lestrade. Read the name for the court. The name that's written alongside the entry that mentions the grouse on 31st October. Is it Judge Jikobu? Eh? Oh, how do you read this then? It's Judge Jikobu, isn't it? That ain't the problem, alright, Odo. It's a funny name, it ain't English, it's hard to read. So it's someone from overseas? Let me have a bash at it. Seishiro, is it? Yeah, Seishiro Jigokyu, maybe? I knew it. What? It can't be. Seishiro's Jigoku? That makes sense because he was in court. Oh my god. He was on trial for like the witness stand or some shit, for breaking the witness stand or whatever. Seishiro Jigoku. Certainly not an English name, you're right.
Objection.
But that can't be right. I know Judge Jigoku, and I saw him the day before yesterday, here in London. I know for a fact the man hasn't been assassinated. As I said, the Reaper failed. Oh. Gregson missed his chance to kill his mark and return to British shores. But the Reaper wouldn't tolerate the mistake, so he killed the inspector. Personally. The Reaper, of course, being the accused, Barack Van Zieks. It's an undeniably logical argument. Jigoku be sus? I've been saying, I have some suspicions about him. This is incredible. Kazuma. You planned for the trial to go this way all along, didn't you?
Hold it!
Is that Van Zieks? Yep. Ooh, frontal foot. Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice whilst I stand accused of murder. Lord Van Zieks, well, he's back to normal. The accused has no right to speak uninvited in court. You will return to the dock. I say nothing of whether or not I'm the Reaper. That's the task of this court to decide. But there's one thing I can say unequivocally. That girl is no detective. Eh? What? Ah, that's right, I ain't. I'm an inspector. Repeating rumors heard around the yard. Reading entries from a notebook of unconfirmed origin. That's not testimony, it's practically a script. No doubt the rest of this trial will go exactly as you've clearly planned. Your hatred of me is understandable. In your mind, I'm sure I am the Reaper, who sent your father to the gallows all those years ago. But you're in danger of becoming a far more sinister Reaper yourself, by attempting to have me condemned with this feeble excuse for testimony. What did you say? Mr. Naruhodo, this is our chance. My lord, the defense requests that the defendant be allowed to speak. He may be privy to important information relating to the testimony just given by the witness. A good pose. Very well, I'll make an exception and grant the request. The defendant may remain in the witness stand for the cross-examination. Then allow me to toast the court's impartiality. Don't raise your glass in my direction, sir. Counsel for the defense, begin the cross-examination immediately. At once, my lord.
Hold it!
In other words, it shows that Gregson was basically acting as the Reaper. Not you and all. That ain't the only explanation, is it? He could have been investigating for the Reaper in secret, and the notebook said what he found out. If I may. When originally people began referring to me as the Reaper, I didn't object. I believe the power to intimidate London's criminal classes into compliance with the law to be beneficial. But you carried out your own investigations into the true identity of the Reaper, didn't you? Yes, and those investigations proved conclusively that Gregson was one arm of the Reaper. One arm? What are you on about? The Reaper's victims were all extremely shrewd criminals at the top of their game. There's simply no way one person could have taken them on alone. The Reaper is an organization. With you at its head. I had spies at the yard keeping me abreast of Gregson's movements, letting me know when he was elsewhere. So I'd been able to check the most recent entry in his book. I knew the location. You know it said Grouse? Believing it to be a reference to the Gentleman's Club, I went there on the day in question to investigate, alone. Oh, sorry. Ah, so that explains why several members of the club claimed to have seen you there. But of course, the inspector was not there, because at the time he was making his way to the steamship docked on the northern coast of France, as shown by the passport found in the victim's metal trunk. Somebody fought back against Gregson. Slashed the metal trunk. Oh my god. If Gregson was on board the steamship, maybe Jikoku did do it. I don't know. Just a crackpot theory. Back to your testimony about the contents of this notebook. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? You seemed a little shocked by something a moment ago. Oh, no, it's alright. I'm overthinking this, aren't I? If Gregson was out there to kill Jikoku and failed, that means Jikoku must have fought back, right? Names of victims, dates, and places.
Hold it!
Names of victims, dates, places, and stuff? What in particular? Well, besides the victims' names, this other name kept cropping up. What other name is that? What I told you yesterday. The same name written over and over again. You mean Asa Shin? Yeah, that's the one. She's a friend of yours or something, isn't she? Were you even listening yesterday? Asa Shin. The assassin. What? Like a killer, you mean? Gregson was the tactician, the one who came up with the plan of the attack. He investigated the marks thoroughly, finding out when they would be vulnerable, and who to use to get at them. But the person actually executing his plans was someone else, you're saying? If that's true, then the Reaper does indeed start like an organized group of vigilantes. Then perhaps what it said on the passport document. Permission for the applicant and one additional person to travel. Could that additional person have been... clearly the assassin, who was meant to take Seishiro Jikoku's life. Gina, can you confirm that? Against the final entry that listed Grouse and Seishiro Jikoku, what name was written? Oh, well, that's the only entry that didn't have a name next to it as it happens. What? It just added like a question mark or something there, I think. In other words, Gregson himself didn't know the identity of the assassin in that case. What? Gregson was the one making the plans, was he not? Oh, how infuriating. A nameless assassin? And a faceless assassin?
Hold it!
And you're saying that the mark listed was Seishiro Jikoku? That's what I said. Funny name if you ask me. And I thought your name was odd. So pleased to have lost my crown there. Mr. Jikoku is the presiding judge of Japan's Supreme Court of Judicature. I remember the man. He came to our country as a visiting student 16 years ago, studying international law and diplomacy under your tutelage, Lord Strongheart. That bearded young fellow was a very able man, I must say. So Lord Strongheart was just Jikoku's mentor. If I'm not mistaken, he returned to Japan 10 years ago now. 10 years ago, after that fateful case. Precisely. In the aftermath of the Professor case, his repatriation was organized immediately. It's a mystery why such a man would be listed in the inspector's notebook. I didn't think it was possible, but the mood in here just got even worse now. Maybe I'll just keep talking.
Hold it!
What do you mean a criminal? Judge Jikoku is no criminal. Well, don't ask me. I don't know nothing about it. Oh, do you remember what Father told us? That Judge Jikoku did once appear in court here in Britain. It was related to the Professor case, I'm sure. Yes, of course, you're right. Seishiro was trying to mitigate Genshin's guilt, so he took the stand to testify. But he got a little carried away and, actually managed to break the witness stand. He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire, for which he was charged. It was a pitiful situation, yes. I'd forgotten all about it. But I prosecuted that trial too, as it happens. You did? It was considered to be an adjunct to the professor proceedings, you see. But he was acquitted after being told to make repatriation for the damages caused to the stand. And there you have it. Have what? Surely the accused hasn't forgotten his own rule? That there's no saving anyone who faces the Reaper in court, guilty or innocent alike. No! Are you suggesting that the reason Judge Jikoku was targeted for assassination? The man was sent back to Japan immediately after that trial. Reaper had no time to do his work. But then, 10 years later, the mark returns to Britain once more. Perhaps now you start to see just how vindictive the Reaper is. Come on, that's absurd. To take someone's life for that? Isn't the whole premise of the Reaper absurd, killing those who have been found innocent? Clearly, the rules by which this man operates are beyond the sane person's comprehension. But Right, I've just had about enough of this. You know? All this nonsense about the boss plan to kill people, it's cobblers. Come on, Otto. Yes? There's no music here, and it's... Why aren't you saying nothing? Why aren't you yelling out objection or something? What? You've got to find a flaw. You do usually. Someone's lying here, no question. You've got to work out who it is. Please. The boss. That outburst was an insult to the court and to your own testimony. I might have known that a common pickpocket from the back slums couldn't make a detective. Shut up! When this trial is over, you will forfeit your warrant card, Mr. Strahd. Is that clear? I've had it with a lot of you. It's lies every bleeding place you look in this world, isn't it? Well, I've had enough. You know. So have I. After that little speech of Gina's, I've made up my mind. To do what, Mr. Naruto? There was one point in the cross-examination when something that was said just didn't sit right with me. One statement that seemed odd. Oh, do you mean... I'm not gonna let Gina's plea for help fall on deaf ears. What's the flaw? Oh, maybe I should press this again. This is a new statement after all. Didn't realize it. Come on, help. There's gotta be a flaw somewhere. I want to thank you, Gina. You helped me find my resolve. Eh? What do you mean? Amongst everything we've heard during this cross-examination, there's one thing that defies explanation. One inconsistency. What? An inconsistency? Really, although... I don't quite know what it means yet, but... Yes. Luckily, I have a history. Something Cosma is saying is strange to me, but I'm not sure what it is. But I have a feeling Cosma is the answer here, so I'm gonna go with it.
Take that!
I guess I was right. By you, Kazuma Sogi. Me? Is this some attempt at filibustering, Counsel? I shall have you know that I hope the practice does not exist. It ceases to exist after this trial. Prosecutor Sogi has given no testimony. What are you suggesting I said that was inconsistent? You let something slip that you shouldn't have. When I present the relevant piece of evidence, I imagine you'll realize what you've done. Very well then, Counsel, go ahead. Huh? What is it? Was there something in the trunk? I don't know. I don't know. Why are you doing this to me? I'm literally neurodivergent and a minor. I'm kidding. I'm neither. I might be neurodivergent, but I'm not. I don't know why, but I think it's the trunk. But I don't know why. So, luck be a lady tonight.
Take that!
This is a trunk that belonged to Inspector Gregson. A metal construction, is it? It's certainly very heavy. What's this? Oh, it's a bloodstain. And a bloodstain, and a relatively fresh one, too. What? You mean that ain't grease from all the boss's fish and chips? Fresh blood on the inspector's trunk. That's just the victim that was traveling with that luggage when he was killed. That can't be. There was no mention of any trunk in Scotland Yard's report. Yes, there's a reason for that. Immediately after the inspector's body was discovered, one of the street peddlers made off with the trunk, hoping to sell it. But I found it, me, with me nose for trouble. Which means nobody should have known anything about the trunk. Oh. Unless, of course, we're talking about somebody who was present when the victim was killed. And yet, during the cross-examination of the witness just now, you said this, Cosmo. Because at the time, he was making his way to the steamship docked on the northern coast of France, as shown by the passport found in the victim's metal trunk. So the question is, how did you know about the inspector's trunk? And how did you know he had so much junk in it? We know the man went on a trip to France. Where else could he have put his passport? But you knew it was a metal trunk. Answer me honestly, Kazuma. On 31st October, where exactly were? Because he was out of the country. At the port of Dunkirk, on board the SS Grouse. Is that the answer you're looking for, Ryunosuke? Kazuma, what did you... I hadn't considered the possibility before, but if Kazuma was there on the ship, then it can only have been for one purpose. Oh no, Mr. Naruhodo, surely you don't think... Ha 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 ha, come on, Ryunosuke. Ryunosuke, you know the rules. And so do I. The only thing that really talks in the courtroom is hard evidence. As I understand it, Inspector Gregson always took that case with him when he traveled. So as it stands, you've proved nothing. Kazuma. Are you challenging me to prove it beyond all reasonable doubt? That you were there that day, in the same place as the inspector. That slash could have only come from... Oh! The slash... He was there, with Gregson. There's a clue that you've overlooked, and a secret that the trunk can tell us. I can't be sure at this point. I'll need to verify it. I have a nasty feeling of it. The accusation being made is deeply disturbing, but nevertheless, we must test it. The defense will identify for the court where in the trunk this alleged clue is to be found. Where is the evidence that ties Prosecutor Asogi to Inspector Gregson? The gash. From Karuma.
Got it!
This is your proof. What do you say to that? Personally, I think that... Oh, maybe I got it wrong. Maybe it's inside. Oh, I was right. There's a blade fragment stuck in here.
Got it!
So I was right. There's a small piece of metal lodged in the wall of the trunk here, like the tip of a blade. Eh? A blade? Kazuma, slung around your waist as ever today, is the esteemed blade Karuma. Of course it is. Won't you draw it? Here in this courtroom, for all to see? Exercise caution, my learned friend. That man is the son of London's most notorious killer. Bailiff, watch Prosecutor Asogi like a hawk. That won't be necessary. It's broken. Oh no! The tip is broken. If the fragment of metal from the trunk fits together with the end of the sword, the question of who was there with Inspector Gregson will be answered. Agreed. Agreed, Kazuma Asogi? Expertly done, Ryunosuke. That's a point to you and well deserved. Do you mean to tell the court, Prosecutor Asogi? Yes, on 31st October, I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk in order to carry out a mission. So the additional person authorized to travel was me. And the mission was the assassination of the Mark. What? What? You mean you're the killer whose name was omitted from this notebook? You were following the Reaper's orders to dispatch Judge Jikogu? Let me make one thing perfectly clear. I have killed no one. Explain. I accepted the assassination mission, yes. and I accompanied Gregson to Dunkirk, but I never had any intention of carrying out the plan. You were never going to do it? We can believe Kazuma-sama, I'm sure. After all, Judge Shikoku arrived safely in London the following day. On the 31st, I boarded a train from London with Inspector Gregson. We traveled to Dover, where we crossed the channel to Dunkirk. Then we boarded the SS Grouse and made for the cabin deck, as was indicated in the plan. You went to Judge Shikoku's cabin. Exactly. He wasn't there, though. We decided to wait, but you've already told us you had no intention of going through with it anyway. I didn't come to Great Britain to take anyone's life, so I left Gregson and disembarked the ship. I spent that night at a boarding house in the town, and returned to England the following morning. A boarding house in Dunkirk? My signature will be in the register book. It will be simple enough to verify. Then, what became of Jigoku? Gregson was no assassin, so the mark was spared. I'm sure it's easy enough to imagine what happened after that. Gregson returned to England as well, having failed to complete the mission. He met with the Reaper in that room on Fresno Street to report the failure, causing the infuriated mastermind to pull the trigger and end his wretched agent's life. No. No. That's the real truth behind Inspector Grayson's murder. But how did this tip of your sword, you conveniently left out how the tip of your sword ended up in Gregson's trunk? And until you plan to explain that, I am not going to let this go.
Objection!
But if you did nothing as you claim, how did the tip of your sword come to be lodged in the inspector's trunk? I don't need to answer that. The victim was killed by a gunshot. A small fragment of a Japanese blade isn't relevant to the case, and accordingly, I choose to exercise my right to silence on that matter. Be that as it may, the court will sequester the sword. That's not the right judgment. Be that as it may, the court will sequester the sword as evidence. As you wish, my lord. Great sword Karma, the illustrious blade passed down through generations of the Asogi clan. This prized sword's tip has a small piece missing. We must take immediate action now to verify whether Seishiro Jikoku remains unharmed. What? Remains unharmed? Nobody's seen him! I agree, that should be our first priority. No one's seen him, we're right. It's recently come to my attention that he hasn't been seen since yesterday. How did you... When a foreign dignitary invited to Great Britain goes missing for 24 hours, it's only natural that the question of safety should arise. You don't mean to say that you think Jashikoku may have been killed? The Reaper has more than one assassin at his disposal, and he has the power and influence to give orders from the inside of a prison cell. Isn't it right, Lord Van Zeeks? If I were truly the Reaper, I'd be able to tell you... The man, the monster. Order! Order in the court! Order! We will take an emergency recess for 30 minutes. Now, guests of the symposium will have been told to maintain regular contact with the organizer's office. If the man can't be located within half an hour, we will have to assume the worst. Oh no, not Judge Shikoku. No one would want to kill a harmless Japanese man who only just arrived in the country. Except, that is, for the Reaper, wanting to finish off a mark that slipped through the net 10 years ago. I would have to agree. Mr. Naruhodo, for the defense's sake. My lord, I sincerely hope we are successful. If we are unable to confirm Mr. Jigoku's healthy existence in the next 30 minutes, you will face grave difficulties. Court is adjourned for 30 minutes. Having Strongheart as the judge is extremely terrifying. Kazuma-sama, the Reaper's assassin. I feel as though I'm in a nightmare. I can hardly believe it either, but on the other hand, Kazuma isn't in the habit of making up stories. I have such a terrible sense of foreboding. If something awful has happened to Judge Jigoku, then I feel as though things will only spiral further and further out of control. I felt it from... This isn't the normal song. Yeah, it's more dramatic. I love it. I felt it from the moment I stepped into the courthouse this morning. That strange sensation that we were careering towards a foregone conclusion. I think I should say careening. Well, in the worst case, we might only have 30 minutes left. Unfortunately, though, I don't think there's anything we can do but wait now. Right about. Hold the ears. Actually, there may be one last hand we can play. Or rather, One last ear. Yep, of course. Little doll, Mr. Sholmes doll that Iris gave us. If for some reason you feel completely run out of options in the trial today, then just pull this little Hurley's ear as hard as you possibly can. It's gonna come off, isn't it? Perhaps now is the time. What should I do? Pull it. Pull Hurley's ear loose. Here goes then. I'm gonna do it. Good luck, Mr. Naruhodo. No, looking back. What did I say? Heave ho? Heave! Ow! That scream sounded like Mr. Sholmes. Not Mr. Sholmes? Where are you? Here, my dear fellow, here. It's the felt doll talking. Pull the ears again, Mr. Naruhodo, as hard as you can. Alright then. Oh, heave. Ow! Please, my dear fellows, you don't need to pull my ear off. Mr. Sholmes, where are you? On the ship? Myself and my trusty partner are presently in the first-class cabin area of the SS Grouse, which looks strikingly similar to the SS Borea. The SS Grouse? She left over last night, after the final pieces of cargo were loaded. We are currently docked at Dunkirk, but due to be underway again in half an hour. You've taken a ship to France? Please, even with my athletic prowess, I would struggle to jump the Straits of Dover. After we left Baker Street last night, we hurried by cab to the station and by train to the port, in order to board this vessel in time. So you mean you'd already worked it out? That the steamship was where everything really took place? Mr. Naruhodo, pray, what is my name? Sherlock Holmes, the world-famous great detective. Recited to perfection. Well done. You're a genius, Mr. Holmes. That's the only word for it. Ow, 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 ow. Miss Susato, gently with this genius's ear, please. Oh my, I'm ever so sorry. What? If I may, Sholmes. Ah, there you are, Mikoto. If I may, Sholmes. You may remember that it was in fact I who made the connection to the SS Grouse at Scotland Yard yesterday when we examined that notebook and I recalled my steamship ticket. But of course it was, my dear fellow. And not once did I controvert that fact. I merely had our quant-bound companions under my name. They got merged? Oh, that's so sweet. So how does that work exactly? Is it like a phone or something? Like, what's going on there? Because why? That doesn't make much sense. Oh, unless they recorded it. Yes, you did, didn't you? We just entered a... No, that can't be it. I guess it's a phone of some kind? We just entered a recess. The trial resumes in 30 minutes from now. And if we're unable to present any new leads then, I'm afraid to say... Do not fret, please. It's precisely for that purpose that my partner and I have made this journey. I have no doubt that we shall have welcome news for you within the half hour. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. That would be wonderful. Hey, welcome back, Westerford. Until later, then. Yes, you'll be hearing from us if you're not in touch first. Ow, ow, ow. I shan't be hearing everything if you keep tugging my ear in that mindless fashion. Whatever was the... Oh, I see. Whatever was the idea behind making a receiver operated in that way in the first place, Sholmes? Why the deuce would I know? It's Iris's invention, not mine. Whilst I know how much you enjoy being the hero of the hour, Sholmes, we have but half that now that the grouse puts to sea again. If we don't conclude our investigations rapidly, we shall find ourselves in Naples before long. There are times, Mikotoba, when you make a surprising amount of sense. So let us begin. A deduction? First class cabin number 2. Yes, this is the one. But I don't believe in investigation. Of the cabin is going to be plain sailing. That crewman standing in front of the door is an angry-looking fellow. Isn't that the same guy? Why are you loitering here? Who are you? My dear fellow, do you not recognize a well-famous detective when you see one? The question really ought to be, who are you? Do not recognize... Chicken Stroganoff. Oh, they're brothers! Do not recognize world-traveling great sailor Chicken Stroganoff when you see... Great detective. Huh, I don't think so. Do you see that, Mikotoba? It would appear this man is a devoted follower of mine. Goodness me, is that a tattoo that says Sholmes? Goodness me, is that a tattoo that says Sholmes? I must say, with such adoration is flattering naturally. It does leave me a little cold. What are you talking about? Leave now. How distressing. My loyal devotee knows me only by name, not by appearance. And yet, I already know a great deal about you, sir. You have a brother, I believe. Like yourself, he's a shipman, currently traveling the world aboard a Russian steamship, in fact. How could you know this? Elementary, my dear Mikotoba. I'm sure it was. 3 days ago, I was bound for London aboard the ship, you see. We're looking for one of my fellow passengers, a man by the name of Jikogu. There is no one with this name on board, but we know that he purchased a ticket for passage. Ah, you mean Easterman. He left ship 2 hours ago, here at Dunkirk. He said something about the emergency, I think. What? Are you sure? So Seishiro's realized that we're after him, has he? His cabin is the one behind you. We should like to investigate, please. No, I have orders not even to let mouse inside. Mikotoba, be a good man and draw the sailor's attention away, would you? Make up some excuse so that he leaves the area. Doesn't great detective see that even sailors have ears, both left and right? Curses, the plan is ruined. And you have only yourself to blame, I'm afraid, Mr. Sholmes. Ryunosuke the mouse, Susato is a lop rabbit, Kazuma dog, and Manzi is the cat. Gotcha. Forget it, cabin door is locked. Even if I am not here, you cannot get inside. Inside. Mikotoba, I'm sure you haven't forgotten my special talent, have you? Opening any lock? Within a mere 5 seconds? Will you be so kind to afford me the requisite time, old friend, in your typically accommodating manner? How could I refuse such a typically unappealing request, old friend? So I need to distract that burly sailor for 5 seconds, do I? Good man, so aim is afoot. What? This would be a good alarm. Oh, hell. What if I did? That'd be so funny. Yep, I think that's what I'm gonna do. That would definitely. Here goes then. Pardon me in advance. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. You, what are you doing? If we are at sea, this would be very bad problem. What's going on down there? Seaman Stroganoff. Report at once. Sorry, sir. Nothing to report. It was just stupid trick. No, not by me. By Wolfham's, no, as I told you. Now, Schultz, now! No, done. Not even 5 seconds, eh? Don't stand there gawping at my brilliance, Mikotoba. In we go. Oh, yes. This is incredible. This is so weird. I love how this is done. Sorry, I can hear noise coming from... Someone's yelling. Good gracious. It would appear that the occupant of this cabin did indeed disembark rather hurriedly. Those clothes on the floor there, they're Seishiro's without question. It seems we were just a little too late. No, I know what you meant. Yes, by about 2 hours. Still, whilst we're here, we should investigate thoroughly. There may well be 2 hours worth of clues to find here. But that burly crewman may return at any moment, Holmes. Indeed he may. Which makes this all the more thrilling. Let's try the wardrobe. According to the report I was given, Naruhodo was concealing himself in the Sogi's wardrobe. Indeed he was, and it was of a similar size to this one. Ah, you must climb inside yourself, my dear. What? Whatever for? It was the site of my first fateful meeting with Miss Naruhodo. You can experience the moment for yourself now, complete with my dramatic rhetoric. Come along now, in you go. It'll only take a moment. Really, Sean, surely you can just tell me what you said. Well, I had some brilliant remark and opened the wardrobe to reveal the stowaway murderer. I think I'll just read about it in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Plenty of reading material to keep passengers occupied on the long sea voyages. I found the mixture of classic literature and easy reading to be most satisfactory, I must say. Whoever stocked this bookcase was a hopeless heretic. There's no copy of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, my dear fellows. I'm afraid it's just me, but no, you're quite right. More blasphemous than overlooking the Bible. I shall leave a copy behind. I just happen to have one. You're a true missionary of the Church of Great Detectives, aren't you? Let's look at the trunk. That's a very sizable trunk indeed. Seishiro was partial to all things large, and a rather clumsy fellow if he failed to notice he'd left that behind. Perhaps you left it on purpose. It's lighter than you might think, but still a hindrance to a speedy escape. Pity. It's locked, so we can't look inside. Surely 5 seconds from now the situation will be quite different, though. Sadly not. It has a 7-digit combination lock. And I'm not in a morose enough mood to work through all the combinations at present. Maybe there's something else around here that has the... this is missing. The wall is a slightly different color here. Do you see? Indeed. What you have observed arises when a frame that has been hanging for some time is removed. Perhaps your friend is an art thief. Now there is a bold deduction worthy of a great detective, I'm sure. He may very well be the elusive thief who has been plaguing France's galleries as of late. I think perhaps we should focus our attentions elsewhere, Sholmes, don't you? That outline on the wall. It feels as though I might have spotted something of a similar shape also. Oh. These are the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Additionally, there are severe punishments for stowing away in wardrobes and or travel case. I feel the rules have increased since I last read them. Probably just my imagination. What about the fact that they're not straight on the wall? Doesn't that strike you? Strike you? You may be right. Probably just your imagination, no, a trifle. And you know what I always say, Mikotoba, there's nothing important about trifles. It's probably just my imagination, but I think that might be slightly off. That's a substantial heap of clothes on the floor. An overcoat, shirts, a dressing gown. Momohiki work trousers, a Tanzen robe, a Haramaki waistband. Clearly the clothing of a Japanese man. And clearly Japanese... Momohiki work trousers, a Tanzen robe, a Haramaki waistband. Clearly the clothing of a Japanese man. And clearly Japanese men are unaccustomed to the culture of the wardrobe. It looks to me as if they've been thrown in a heap like that in something of a hurry. Indeed. You could help yourself to a Japanese man's shirt, perhaps. I'm sure you made mention of packing too few. I'd very likely drown in one of Seishiro's shirts. No, I'll just buy any extras I need, I think. Can I check this again? The waste paper basket. Look, and there's rubbish still inside. Indeed, then let us pry. I've discovered recently that I have a penchant for exploring the contents of others' waste paper baskets. I sincerely hope only for your work. Ah. Kiev and notice issued to passengers from 3 days ago. 3 days ago? The night before we arrived in London. I thought it was really funny. We were talking about the one where we hit with Iris. I thought that was really interesting, and but also I laughed a lot when Sholmes got punched up by the trunk. 3 days ago. 3 days ago, the night before. Yep, when I was still aboard myself. Ah yes, there was an evacuation drill. I remember now. For our safety and security, all first-class passengers were constantly under the watchful eye of the crew. It was a welcome relief to have some privacy for once. Why is that in the port record? Quite the exquisite glass, I must say. See here how it... Is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes? You suddenly trailed off. Ice, Mikotoba, ice! What opulence the first-class passengers enjoy. chilled drinks. Pardon? Pardon? Would it be that the steamship is equipped... It's equipped with an electrically refrigerated room, do you think? Well, it is a luxury liner after all. They have enormous refrigerators for storing all sorts of lavish produce as well as ice. On our voyage from Japan, we enjoyed culinary delights from all over the world. Suddenly, Mikotoba. The sight of you is making my mouth water. That's where that line comes from. Oh my god, I have a screenshot of that. I didn't know that's where it came from. Oh wow. I just thought it was from Case 2, and I missed it. I haven't taken on the flavor of the food I ate, you know. Oh, chicken stroganoff is back. You are still here? Ah, Able Seaman Stroganoff. Hello again. I was beginning to think you'd never materialize. Yeah, you are waiting for me? Of course. I was expecting you to burst in with a hearty Russian profanity far sooner. I was in trouble with Captain because of a trick you played before. Poor innocent chicken. It is all your fault. Ship is leaving port soon. Get off. Now. Of course, we shall disembark presently, my dear fellow, but first... There's something that must be done. What are you talking about? Why, naturally... Is he gonna show up in the court record, too? Oh, I don't think I have access to it. Why, naturally. The debunking of your deceit and the bearing of the truth. Kakoi? I'm afraid I see through your lies. For one thing, Mr. Jigoku has not yet left this vessel with me. Ah! And for another, my dear Seaman Stroganoff. You know exactly where the man is, even as we speak, don't you? How can you? Good gracious, Sholmes, you mean you've worked it out? All of it? It's been too long, hasn't it, old friend? 10 years, no less. So, would you care to join me for a dance of my inimitable logic and reasoning? Nothing would please me more. What is this? We have but minutes till the vessel puts to sea. No games now. Oh shit! Time is of the essence! Mr. Stroganoff, allow me to remind you of your earlier claim. You told us that Jigoku left the ship some 2 hours ago. Ah, that is what I said. Sadly, that was a rather clumsy lie. You see, there is something in this room that quite clearly contradicts it. What? Ah, yes, of course. I see you've noted it too, Mikotoba, then please, do take the lead. What in this cabin shows the impossibility of Jigoku? Oh boy. Having left disembarked 2 hours ago. Let's see what the last 3 years have done to your observation skills then, Mikotoba. Been 10 years since we last did this, Sholmes, not 3. Why, of course it has, quite. Now, all the clues are here in this cabin for your eyes to see. But I always say you must not merely look, but observe. Observe and the answers become clear. So impress me. I think I can manage that. Okay, let's just look at things, because like, I have a habit of messing this up. Oh, I can't examine shit. Okay, well, I thought I could. That's a shame. But there's ice in this. That's what it is.
Take that!
Look at him with his take that. Sounds good. Perhaps you should clear away that glass. How curious that the ice shouldn't have melted despite it being abandoned 2 hours ago. Ah! It would appear that the man was here in this very cabin until moments before our arrival, with this well-chilled glass in hand. Get your mind off the refreshment, Sholmes. One might even conclude that someone informed him of our boarding. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Stroganoff? But why would Seishiro run from us? Before we consider that question, allow me to confirm once more that Seishiro is the professor, isn't he? I don't know. That's what my mind was saying, but like I don't know if that's true. That's my crackpot theory. Would I be correct in saying that these first-class captains of the SS Grouse are the same ones in which you and Mr. Jigoku were accommodated on your voyage from Japan. Ah, that's right, they are. I was in the cabin next door, and Seishiro was... yes. 50 days in this very cabin during our voyage. As I suspected. Well, you see... there are traces in this cabin of a dark secret that Mr. Jigoku had to hide. What traces? I know nothing about these. Yeah, exactly. I love that. Ah, this is news to you, isn't... this is so cool, is it, Mrs. Stroganoff? Just these two buddies coming back together for the first time in 10 years, doing a legendary deduction. Sholmes, what exactly are you getting at? As I said, there are traces in this cabin of some nefarious activity. Something that appears out of place, which I'm quite sure wouldn't have escaped him. Something out of place. That's the key to this bit. Isn't it the mark on the wall? It's either the mark on the wall or the rules of passage. No, quite, but life is full of unexpected twists and turns, as we all know. Now then, let's see if I can uncover the truth here. Yes, you have the floor, my dear fellow. I'm gonna try the rules of passage first.
Take that!
Yes. It's the rules of passage in this frame here. They're obviously out of place. The way they're hanging crooked on the wall, as if they were put there in a hurry. Yes, as I'm sure you've already concluded, that frame was originally over here. The shape and size are perfect. I love the tippity tap. Oh my god, this is so cool! This is really just incredible. I love this whole game, but like, oh my gosh. Ah, you are right. When did frame move? Hardly the most observant of crewmen, are you, Mr. Stroganoff? I would think your captain is quite justified in having his reservations about your reliability. Ugh. Oh dear, that really seemed to touch a nerve. So Mikotoba, why don't you lift... So Mikotoba, why don't you lift that frame up? That looks... like a bullet hole. Like a bullet hole. What? Who's been shooting walls? What? Who has been shooting walls? I see the projectile has been removed. Clearly, the careful occupant of this room has already disposed of it. Now then, Mr. Stroganoff. Ah! I have the distinct impression that you're attempting to shield said occupant. I don't know what you are talking about. Why would I try to protect Eastern Stranger? Oh my god, guys, what if? This is so stupid. This is so stupid. What if the tattoo on this guy's arm doesn't actually say Sholmes, but if you flip it upside down, it's the combination of the safe, or the thing. I didn't get a good look at how it looked, but that'd be so funny. I think I'm right. I'm sure we can get to the bottom of this in no time. There's some very noteworthy evidence that explains why you're lying for the man. I really don't know how to approach this one, Sholmes. Ah, my dear Mikotoba, to simply keep first principles in mind. Study your object from every subject from every angle, and I'm quite sure you'll see it. In fact, I put a wager on it. I will glare at the fellow from all sides. Well, I can certainly do that. Oh shit! I know that's not it right now, but like, look, I see it. A lot of money. That was.
Take that!
It's almost too obvious for words. Quite. The universal language of the world. Money. Ah! And I'd wager that the Eastern fellow in question is Seishiro Jigoku. Yeah. So I presume you realize what this means. There are clear signs that a crime has been committed in this cabin, and the way you're going, sir, you'll find yourself accused of being an accomplice. But what? I believe you know, Mr. Stroganoff. You know where Mr. Jigoku is hiding at this precise moment in time. And your gaze gave it away. As always, Mikotoba, in matters of deduction, the furtive glance is your unfaltering ally. Yes, I think you're onto something there, Sholmes. You found the chink in this burly fellow's armor. You need only follow the man's gaze to know where our prey is hiding. The slightest flicker of the pupils, minutely delayed blink. Nothing escapes my attention, even that which is barely perceptible. You could hardly call this barely perceptible, Sholmes. The man's turned his entire head. It's not exactly what you described as furtive glance, is it? It's almost too obvious. So let your tapping toes decide, my dear fellow. He's not in the fucking trunk, is he? No way.
Take that!
You turned immediately to look at this large trunk, didn't you? Ah! The truth is, Seishiro Jigoku was unable to escape from the ship in time, and is, at this very moment, doing his best to stifle his breath inside this trunk. If he still has a breath to take, I fear he may be running dangerously low on air. I imagine he didn't count on making us making a nuisance of ourselves for quite so long. I think it would be in everyone's best interest for us to open the trunk as quickly as possible. But how can we? Are you forgetting about the combination lock? We don't know the 7-digit code. The combination lock can't be opened from inside the trunk. Therefore, there must have been an arrangement for somebody to open it after our departure. Of course. In short, before Jigoku hid himself inside that trunk, he must have told somebody the 7-digit number for the lock. I'm sure you can confirm, Mr. Stroganoff. Oh. I know nothing about combination code. Don't move a muscle, my good seaman. Now, Mikotoba, would you do the honors and open the trunk? How on earth can you expect me? It's a 7-digit number, remember? Quickly now, we have little time. I was right. 52310. Shit.
Take that!
That did it. It's open. You had to meddle. You had to meddle, didn't you? Didn't you? Well, Eugene, you found me now. Seishiro. Seishiro. I was really hoping beyond hope to not find you here, you know. What, you're not entirely unsurprised, I take it? No, quite. I just wish it was some other way. Well, are you ever going to introduce me? Ah, your reputation precedes you, Mr. Sholmes. I've read stories of many of your exploits. Excuse my manners, Sholmes. This is Mr. Jigoku, my old friend and traveling companion. Oh, I didn't even memorize it. I just flipped the letters of Sholmes upside down and saw what letters they would correspond to. You know, calculator style. The devil is in the details, Mikotoba. I believe you meant to say your old friend and traveling companion, who made the cowardly decision to flee the country without a word to anyone when things turned sour. You see, my reputation precedes me as well. What an honor. Well, Seishiro, are you going to explain all this? You know it all by now, I imagine. What you didn't know, of course, is that 3 days ago, on the night before our arrival in Britain, an attempt was made on my life here on this very ship. By the Reaper of the Bailey, yes, I've since heard. Because you were once prosecuted by the Reaper, weren't you? 10 years ago now, mind you. I had no idea at the time what a dangerous individual he was. Anyway, when we arrived in London to find the symposium was postponed until the goodness knows when, it became all too apparent to me that I might very well be targeted again. So you decided to flee the capital without saying a word about it. Word to me about it. Yeah, I did remember how to spell Sholmes, you're correct. I'm afraid so, yes. Of course, I realize now. But I really ought to have confided in you. Somewhat surprising, I must say. Quarters. Well, first-class cabins aboard luxury steamships are in very short supply. It's more than a little hard to believe that this one just happened to be available. So says the protagonist of some colorful short stories. Well, I don't care for your opinion. The cabin did just happen to be available, so I purchased a ticket, and here I am. I've just seen for myself the obvious remnants of that incident in the cabin. So you already purchased a return ticket before we even docked in Dover, had you? Prevent anyone else taking this cabin and seeing the evidence, is that it? Eugene. I have nothing to say to you. Well, in a mere 5 minutes, the ship will set off on its onward voyage and not make port again until Italy. I'm afraid we must insist that you disembark with us at once. You have no jurisdiction over my movements. Yep, they absolutely did. They probably had, say, Sherlock. Actually, no, you couldn't make numbers out of Sherlock, could you? I'm curious what the puzzle was in Japanese then. We have this Seishiro. Take it. What is it? The subpoena from the Old Bailey. You're a man of the law. You know what the ramifications of ignoring a document like this from the British courts would be. You came prepared then, Eugene. Come on, let's go. One moment. What is it, Sholmes? Inside Mr. Jigoku's trunk. I found this rather fascinating trinket. What is that? What is that? Seishiro. I can't help you, I'm afraid. Is that from the pocket watch? Some small component from something. But what? I have no idea. The look on his face. I think he genuinely doesn't know. Well, let us pocket it as a small souvenir of our brief sojourn in France. Well, young Naruhodo, I think we've done as much as we can, I'm afraid. The rest will be on the shoulders of you and your assistant. I'm gonna take a break real quick. Actually, will it prompt me with a save point at some point, or do I have to make my own? Because I can keep going. I would take a break solely for the purpose of splitting the VOD, but I'm not even sure how to do this at this point. I might just do it on a day system if there's multiple days. I'm not sure. Don't tell me if there's multiple days, but just tell me if there's a save point coming up, I guess. Like a to be continued. If you know, if not, there's a save point coming. Okay. Okay, cool. I'll keep going. Thank you. Kazuma Soki. I know you wouldn't lie, but still, there's no doubt that you're holding something back. You know more than you're saying. During the past 30 minutes while this court was adjourned, all possible efforts were expended. But sadly, Mr. Jigoku's whereabouts could not be ascertained. We must accept the unfortunate conclusion that the Reaper has already done the deed. There's no sense in wasting any more of the court's time. The prosecution calls for an immediate verdict. No, the trial cannot end now. You're a Japanese man, Ryunosuke. You should know when to lay down your sword. And you should know never to presume when the battle is won. The court has already been presented with all the evidence and heard all relevant testimony. And there can only be one conclusion, that the accused is guilty. All relevant testimony? Far from it. There's still a crucial witness from whom the court has yet to hear a single word of testimony. In that case, call your witness to the stand at once, counsel. Yes, my lord. Tomorrow, if possible. The witness is already on his way and scheduled to arrive tomorrow. Who on earth is this crucial witness? Seishiro Jigoku. The very man allegedly murdered by the Reaper. Judge Jigoku? You found him? But the investigations of every policing resource in the capital suggest that Jigoku is already dead. How in the name of God did you find that? Did you call it oh, because of the Japanese characters? Try Daigyakutan Saiban. How in the name of God did you find the man? He was located in France during the recess at the port of Dunkirk. Thanks to one of Mr. Sherlock Holmes' famous deductions. Sherlock Holmes. Inspector Gregson almost certainly met with Mr. Jigoku on the night of his death. Because along with Prosecutor Asogi, Gregson was on a mission to assassinate the man. Which means that Seishiro Jigoku is the sole witness who can clarify exactly what happened aboard the SS Grouse on the 31st October. Am I gonna have egg on my face again? Like, there's no way that this dude did it. Like, there's no way Strongheart did it if it's like, if it happened on a steamship, probably, maybe, I don't know. I still have my doubts, but like, you're guilty of something. You might, maybe, oh, maybe he's the actual Reaper, and that's what we're getting at. Well, it would appear that it's too soon to move to adjudication at this point. The prosecution concurs. The court must hear Mr. Jigoku's testimony. No judgment should be considered until all testimony has been considered. No judgment should be passed until all testimony has been considered. In that case, I hereby call the end of today's proceedings. Court will reconvene at the same hour tomorrow. No objections from either side? No, my lord. No objections, my lord. We live to fight another day by the skin of our teeth. It was a 6-digit password. Okay. They just had to add a thing. Oh, that's not too bad then. That's probably the easiest way to do it. Alright, though. With that, I think that's going to be it for tonight's stream. It's been a little short, honestly, but such is the nature of the way that I ended up having to do this. We will pick this up on Thursday, and maybe we'll finish the game. I don't know. Thursday at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. That is what it's going to be. And if I don't finish it on Thursday, I'll play on Friday, and I'll finish the game on Friday. So the game will end this week. Unless something happens to interrupt that. The game will end this week. Let me think. Yeah, just spoiler tag it, West. You know the deal. I'll have to watch the VODs. No worries, Rosie. I'm gonna, as soon as this is over, I'm going to put them together and highlight them. As soon as those are out, they will be. Oh, you mean next time? Yeah, no worries. I'll end up. I just realized what you meant. Yeah, I'll end up highlighting them almost immediately after they happen. So no worries there. God, I wish I could do it sooner, honestly, I really do. But I don't think there's a chance in hell of me doing it any sooner. Wait a minute. No. God, now I'm thank you, Nightbot. Now I don't have to do that. Alright, actually, I just remembered that, I'm debating something in my head, because, like... No, I shouldn't do that. I have class on Tuesday, so I shouldn't stay up too late on, Monday. Okay, never mind. I was considering doing... God, this is so hard, right? I'm just trying to figure things out at the... What would we think if I did just the investigation tomorrow night? I assume the investigation won't take more than a couple hours. And if it takes long, that's fine. And then I just saved the behemoth of a trial that I'm sure is going to happen for Thursday. Or Friday, I'm not sure. Probably Thursday. That might be what I'll do. Yeah, I know. I'm just rambling at this point. Apologies to all the VOD people. But you're seeing my thought process in real time. Yeah, so maybe I might do it tomorrow. I really don't want to wait too much. So if I do it on Monday, I'll have Tuesday and Wednesday to like sit and suffer, and then I can finish on Thursday. I think that'll be fine. Alrighty. Well, I I don't. I guess we're gonna raid somebody now, so that'll be fun. Let's see here. Find somebody to raid. I happen to have the following page up on Twitch already. Rated meds last time. Why don't I raid Flarga? I haven't raided Flarga in a hot minute. And Flarga knows what the game is, so I'll still give a vague raid message. I was thinking like hashtag tap dance for the truth. So yeah, I'm gonna raid Flarga. So just quick, if you aren't following me on Twitter, you can. Twitter.com/TwilightKing432. I post about all kinds of stuff. I am kind of a mess, and that is on full display for all of Twitter. So, you know, it's pretty cool. Discord, you know, got done earlier. I don't feel like doing that right now. And if you are not following other members of the twitch.tv/smiletime team, feel free to do that because, guess what? Smile Time Charity is happening this year. We will be raising money for Prevent Cancer from December 17th through the 19th, 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time each day that weekend. And it'll be really fun. We've got a lot of great streamers, most of whom are on this team. So yeah, I hope to see you all there. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. So we'll go for tomorrow. And that's that. So yeah, let's raid Flarga. I should have had the raid counter going down. But you know, this is the raid message. Do it again. And yeah. Oh, I have to get to the channel and make sure that the ad doesn't play. I always forget about the ads. Oh, it's a 15-second ad. God bless. God bless. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for stopping by. Let me just wait for this ad to end, and then we'll do that. There we go. See y'all tomorrow. Good night.